And the question is, there is a growing call in our community for property taxes to be reduced for seniors in the community. The school system has projected that this could result in a loss of $4 to $5 million in taxes if these abatements were enacted. Do you support these abatements for seniors in our community? And if so, how would you make up the revenue shortfall with either specific budget cuts or increases in the millage rate that applies to non-seniors? And we'll start with Mr. Barnes.
Well, Jim, I don't know where you got your $4 to $5 million figure first. Who's made that proposal? That's a good question. I think you should ask the people that said $4 or $5 million. I saw that floated around in the senior center. I don't know who proposed that. Yes, I support it. But the proposal that I have in mind is not $4 to $5 million. It will only be approximately about 1.2. Am I going to look at these people and tell them that we're 99% efficient with what we spend money on in this system? We're the first. I'm not even that efficient at home with my wife. We don't agree 7-0 on every vote on spending money, but we do it here. 4 years I've been to board meetings, it's been a 7-0 vote to spend money. Not one dissenting vote on any expenditure, for right or for wrong. Yes, I support it. I have some big budget cuts. Mr. Daniels already told you where to get most of it. You can cut the energy contract. You could take the janitorial services out and let people at the school do that in-house. You'd have your money. Or we could take it from reserve fund, or I'll tell you what, I have a better idea. Let's repeal the SPLOST law and use part of that money to educate our kids so our teachers can have supplies. It's in the code. It takes a referendum vote by the people. You'll have plenty of money to run the schools on then. But nobody wants to talk about doing that. Let's talk about taxing folks more and spending more. I'm the other way around. If you want that, vote for somebody else, because I'm not in that arena.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Matthews.
I would love to reduce taxes for 62 and over, because I fall in that category. But we've got to educate our children, and that it would take $4 to $5 million for that 62 and older. Our budget has already been reduced, so therefore we can't do it. What would we do? Close schools? Lay off teachers? There are a lot of things that are involved, and we have to come to the board and plan what we're going to do. Let's look at two counties that have done this. Gilmore County up in North Georgia did this. They gave taxes for 62 and older, completed no taxes whatsoever. The next year they had to raise their millage 3 mills. Let's look at Henry County. They gave their 65 and over an $80,000 homestead exemption. The next year, they had to lay off 175 teachers. They froze their salaries for their teachers, and they had to take $11 million out of their reserve. And it's a good thing they had a reserve to be able to get that $11 million. We are lucky too here in Troup County. We have a $16 million reserve, and we'll probably have to use some of it next year. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Bailey.
I've already told you how I think we can cut a lot of our money. I took, like Mr. Barnes, we've been attending our board meetings and to learn, see what's going on. But there's kind of an inside joke about it that we call our board members the pep boys, because they always bobble every time a spending thing comes up. It's 7-0, less spending. Never have I seen a no vote cast for a spending in Troup County school system. Ever. Never. I've traveled around, I've knocked on close to 1,800 doors. I see 92-year-old people paying school tax. Saw an 84-year-old woman, bless her heart, she said, you know, I've worked my whole life, I'd like to buy something new for my house, but I started saving my school taxes in January. You know, I started saving in January. Mr. Calloway, I'm sure I'm not going to steal his, but he had a 74-year-old woman said, I'd like to talk to you, but I got to leave. He said, why? She said, I got to go to work. He go, work? You must like it. And she says, no, I got to pay my school taxes. I am so tired of people telling us that we cannot do it. And it can be done. We can do it gradually. We have promised a gradual reduction, and we can do it. You don't have to cut them all out. Here's what I'm going to tell you. When people who doubt us, I've made my living doing stuff that people say we couldn't do. You know, when I was coaching, they say, you never win a state of truth. We did it 9 times. Don't tell us we can't do it. Here's where my final word about the cutting it for the seniors. I love the seniors. They deserve a break. They're on fixed income. They should not have to make a decision between medicine and food. We saw a man last night after the caucus meeting. He goes, I have to decide between medicine and food. He got a heart defibrillator. You know, he's dying of cancer. He has to decide. Here's my statement. 5 seconds. Don't tell us it's impossible until we finish doing it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Rowe?
I believe the question was, would I support at this time?
Would you support the abatement for the seniors of property taxes? And if so, how would you make up the revenue shortfall?
I certainly would support giving anybody some tax reductions, not only seniors, but everybody, but not at this particular time. We are in a dire situation from our state with shortfall of money, and I think it would be very detrimental to our school system. The $4.5 million that was stated, it came from our budget office, and what they did was they took everybody, a percentage of everybody over 62, and calculated that based on the tax digest. So that was where the $4 to $5 million figure came from. So we're looking at, if we looked at losing that, and then we're looking at losing another $3.2 million from the state next year, you're looking at an $8 million deficit. And, you know, the question is, where are you going to make that up? That's a lot of money. We're already cutting. I believe seniors, it would be great if we could let them pay less taxes. I have a senior in my house. My 95-year-old mother lives with me. We still have her house, and we pay taxes on it. And she has dementia now, but when she was able to reason, she always said to me, I don't ever mind paying my school taxes, because when you were a little girl, somebody paid for you. So I appreciate the fact that our seniors would like a tax break, but I feel at this particular time, it's just not feasible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Calloway.
Find a question that I'm looking for. Yes, sir, Ray, I would support a tax relief for our senior citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, my mama used to always tell me, can't, never could. And I live by that philosophy. Our incumbents are totally against offering seniors a tax relief. The challengers are totally for offering a tax relief. And look, we got to cut costs somewhere in order to do this without raising taxes on other folks. And we're talking about incremental tax relief for our senior citizens. But let me tell you a few facts that I've checked into. There are 12 counties in Georgia that offer tax relief to our senior citizens in the form of no school taxes. Of those 12, 6 of them have a millage rate. 7 of them have a millage rate that is less than Troup counties, okay? 10 of them have a graduation rate that is higher than Troup counties, and 9 of them rank higher. 9 of the 12 rank higher than Troup County does so far as overall performance. Let me tell you about Gilman County, because I've got some property up in Gilman County. And my taxes are going down in Gilman County. Now, the millage rate, yes, has gone up. The millage rate has gone up to 17.75 mills compared to Troup County's 18.85 mills. Property values have been cut roughly in half over the past 4 years, so they've had to increase it. But they do give any resident 65 years or older an exemption from all school taxes, and they're doing better than Troup County.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Burdett.
This current board would love to reduce taxes for everyone, but in these challenging economic times, we cannot do that. I know some families that are on just as limited an income as my 92-year-old mama. And for me to say, I'm gonna cut my mama's taxes but not cut yours, I don't think that's a fair statement to make. We cannot do this. Taxes support the school system. If you can come up with another source of revenue for us to support the school system, we'll be glad to hear that. But right now, taxes are our main source of revenue. And we have to have them to run the schools. And you talk about incremental tax cuts. The state has incrementally been cutting our taxes since 2002, and they've cut it $53 to $54 million. That's half of what our budget is now. Just think if we had that money back, what we really could be doing. But the state has been cutting our budgets, and we just cannot, we can't cut any more than we're cutting right now with our seniors. We would love to do that, but I just don't see what, if we cut that, what we're going to have to replace it with.
Thank you. Ms. Adams?
I think the real problem here is spending. We've got a huge excessive spending problem here. I'll give you a perfect example. I see Otto sitting over there, and instead of paying our school attorney to go show our new superintendent around town, I bet Otto would probably have done it for free. I hadn't talked to him about that before. He could just go give thumbs up. So we've got several people here in the community that could help us out and stop spending excessively. But just to get back to the tax rate, Gilmore County, yes, that was one of the examples that was given. Their millage rate is 17.75. Their graduation rate is 82.4. That's pretty incredible. So they're doing something right up there. A better county to compare us with would probably be Glenn County. That's what I would kind of recommend. Their millage rate, they are doing the tax break. Theirs is more around 15. The reason I say that would be a better comparison is because their poverty level is more similar to ours. So that's what I would recommend. But I definitely am for it, but we got to stop the spending first.
Thank you. And Mr. Darden?
Well, one of the things is, every budget year, I said this this morning at the senior center, it is a topic of conversation of where you're going to get the money. It's a topic of conversation of who or what can we save on millage rates, can we cut millage rates for the seniors. But what you have to do is you look at, unfortunately what we're faced with a lot of times is a balancing act. The school systems are an investment in the future. And, if we cut somewhere else, you got to replace that money. Okay, cuts into too much spending, as Ms. Adams says, is an issue that we constantly look at. And this past year with our energy budget, we saved over $400,000. We did an office supply contract that saved over $200,000. We've shrunk our number of bus routes, which has saved a lot of money in our system. We've closed 2 schools, which has saved a lot of money in our system, become more efficient and put our kids all together in one school instead of paying those kinds of money out. So, it's not as simple as you say, yes, I'll cut it, and then answer where you're going to get the money from, because as we have still made these cuts, we're just barely maintaining with that other issues and trying to keep things going. Carroll County is another that cut. Well, they fired about 60 or 80 teachers this year. Their classroom size has gone up to 4 or 5 students per classroom. Locally in our school, we faced losing our art and music teachers until we found the tax mistake that was made in Atlanta on the Kia plant and the abatements issue. Those are all local funded things. So what are the cuts? We're 85% personnel to provide the programs, to provide the ratios, to get the excellence in education you want. So where are the cuts? With those kind of things, your art and music teachers will probably be the first to go to finish out those situations. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. We have concluded the written